Catchy.
No.
Truthfully. Me, Pastor Flick.
All right, I think there we go.
Jenai thinks we're joking.
No, yeah, you're right.
We're surrounded by two pastors, Jenai, so we are blessed. We can't be any more blessed.
Blessed and highly favored.
Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, we just need to set up here. I gotta get my Facebook going on my phone.
It can't tell me.
We gotta manage the chat window, eh?
You're supposed to set up before we go live.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. You don't have to worry about. We're set up now.
YouTube?
No, Facebook.
Oh, we upload on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess I should.
I see the cross in the back.
You ready? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Dollars and Cents. Right, Keish?
Hello, everyone.
We got Keisha here from RTS Mortgage Financial.
Mm-hmm.
We have the great Wade, aka Money Man, aka The Appearance. Shout outs to all his fans out there, whoever they are.
all one of them.
Shout outs to Wade's fans. And hello to Miss Jenai.
Jenai.
Her full name is e-NiaJenai, right? But
yeah.
She said, we'll just roll with Jenai.
Jenai. Thanks.
Thanks
for having me. I appreciate it.
Listen,
yeah,
just to warn you, Jenai, like as Wade said in the lead up here, he has a way of jumping in and throwing all type of monkey wrenches in the discussion. Okay, all right.
Bring it.
All right. Yeah, you're supposed to do that before we went live.
What? No, we're gonna do it now, so that everybody
we're being real.
knows what's going on. So this is a program that's focused on money, of course. If there is some information out there about how to manage money or how to make money or whatever the case, and we get a hold of it, we come on here and we talk about it. Yeah, right?
For sure.
No matter
a little bit more than money.
Yeah.
A little bit more than money too. Some sense, right? Some common sense.
Dollars.
If it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense.
Right.
We deal with the CENTS and the SENSE, right?
Right.
SENSE, buddy.
SENSE? Isn't that what I said? I spelled. I did. Oh, come on, get out of here! Don't be messing with my spelling.
You went to Crawford, didn't you?
So Jenai is gonna come. We had on the program Jenai's stepfather, Roy Smallwood. I think Smallwood is his last name.
Smallwood,
right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he spoke to us about life insurance. I can't remember the other lady's name. Keisha.
Yvonne Brown.
Yvonne Brown. Okay.
Yeah.
And they both had a lengthy discussion with us about how to pretty much take another look at life insurance, look at it in a different way rather than, or some, just to look into it, period. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And out of that discussion and out of that interview, we have Jenai with us, and she's going to share some things from that perspective as well. She's a young Black lady. Of course, it's obvious that she's Black, but we just have to emphasize that. She is 27 years old. All right, yay for Jenai being a young lady.
All her business out there.
Yeah.
I'm a hop, skip, and jump from 30.
Oh boy.
Well, hop in 28 and then
I'm 27 next week, actually. So I'm 26.
Oh, it's next. Oh, you're 26. Oh no, man,
happy to be
okay. I'm putting more age on you than
actually exactly a week from now, because today's Thursday. Yeah, so next Thursday I'll be 27.
Next Thursday, you're a September girl. All right, and she runs a podcast, and the podcast is Sincerely Millennials. That's did I say it right?
Yes, Sincerely Millennials.
All right. Millennials. All right. Is there a particular day that you do this podcast on, or?
So we have a couple episodes already up right now. It's really more so like we'll kind of get back into it, I think, more for fall. We took a big break for COVID because we actually have a round table discussion. We don't do it online. So we've been trying to figure out, especially with that plus Black Lives Matter, how we're going to transition it, I guess. So you do your base of your podcast and then you realize things that may need to change and update in the way maybe the guests that you have, or you're making it more multicultural, or the types of discussions that we're having. So we took a hiatus for the summer. I said we're going to come back for fall, but typically we post every Thursday. So I would say look for us mid-October and we'll start doing posts again from there. But it's really about us as millennials, as a group of millennials, helping other millennials when it comes to relationship, finance, health and fitness, and organization, because those are things that we truly lack in, unfortunately.
Okay. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. So just before we jump into the interview with Jenai, we're gonna just queue up a couple things here for us to talk about first, and then we'll come back to Jenai and we'll talk some more. All right, so from week to week, we have lots of things that happens here in Ontario and Canada or around the world, whatever the case is, especially on the financial end, right? And I have here an article. Hold on, let me just cue it up correct right here. That talks about something that is, it's been thrown around for a while. And just screen share, here we go. Guaranteed basic income emerges as a top policy priority for Liberal MPs and amid COVID-19. So, this is the month that CERB ends. Am I correct?
I think it's in October.
October.
October, yeah. So a couple weeks away. Okay.
So and because of that, this idea here, you know who I heard this idea from? I heard it from if it was being tossed around here in Canada, maybe I wasn't paying attention, so I really don't know. This idea I heard from Mr. Yang, man, the guy who was running for president, one of the candidates in the Democratic Party there, Andrew Yang.
One of the 30?
Yeah, one of the, right. Andrew Yang, I heard making a suggestion like that people just need to have, just one basic income across the board. I think he was talking, I don't know the dynamics of it, but he was talking about leveling the playing field, helping individuals who are struggling right now, and onward, right? And it sounded good to me, but once again, I didn't understand the specifics of it. I just know that when it comes to leveling the playing field, especially for Black and brown people, I love ideas like this. Well, here we have it. I don't know if it's going to become a reality or if it's just like Wade was saying in the lead up here. It's just one of those things that happens when, election is looming, right? So, what do you guys think about this?
I think it's pretty cool. I think that, leveling the playing field sounds nice. And I feel like every time there's an increase in minimum wage, it's always about, we want to increase it because the ratio in life right now, everything else is so expensive. But then as soon as minimum wage goes up, so does rent, so does groceries. So it never ends up actually being leveled. So
yeah,
I feel like this might be good if this specifically levels the playing field, but then the rest of our day-to-day living expenses doesn't, because then it's just going to be the exact same thing as increasing minimum wage. And then it's like, we're all paying extra taxes for realistically no reason. We're in the same situation, just at a higher bracket, but it's the same bottom line.
Yeah, I think Jenai touched on something that I was going to say when she mentioned the word taxes. You do this, then where's the money coming from to pay for this? Where are you going to fund it? How are you going to fund it? And for how long are you going to fund it? Is it sustainable?
Throw back to our first discussion when we talk about CERB and people believing that it's free money, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so, but it's good. But ultimately, we'll see how it works out, because what it says there, 8.5 million Canadians were the ones that benefited from CERB, right?
Right.
And so if you're going to do and CERB, that's in addition to, if I'm not mistaken, those who were collecting employment insurance, because it's either, you can't get both, it's either one or the other.
Right.
Right. And so I guess they're looking at merging it and making one thing that would be constant or continuous. And so what they're saying is that the unemployment insurance will become more generous and flexible. Yeah.
Sounds like it. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it said here, advocates had hoped that CERB would eventually evolve into a permanent guaranteed basic income, but the program is now winding down to be replaced by a more generous and flexible employment insurance. Okay.
Right. And also remember, the throne speech is coming next week, and if that is not accepted by all parties involved,
Yeah.
then we are going straight into an election.
Okay.
I think it's important to realize that in that amount, it says a more generous and flexible unemployment insurance. It doesn't mean that it's going to change unemployment insurance to $2,000. If you're probably getting 900, it might jump you to 12, 15.
Right.
It doesn't actually mean that the 2,000 is going to be what your unemployment insurance rate is going to be. So it might sound great, but again, it's like, what are you actually going to get out of it? Because realistically speaking, like from my age group, like people that I know, you kind of need to be making $2,000 a month to manage. So if you're not actually moving it to that, which based off of the play of words, I mean, it's government.
Yeah, right.
I don't think that they're actually going to give you $2,000 a month to be on unemployment. Like, I just don't. So I think the play off of words, that's what catches my eye. So I'm like, so you're moving from 9 to like 12 pretty much. It is more flexible. It is more money. It's just not CRB.
But even
with something, okay, let's just say something like this. If we can look at CERB as an example, and we can, look at the projection of, and from there project, okay, how this thing could possibly play out. I know that there are lots of stories about the fact that, the $2,000 really helped people. It helped a lot of people, and they were appreciative of it. And they weren't necessarily forced. They didn't feel forced to go back into the workplace because this thing was really helping them out.
Yeah, that's why this has to end.
Right. But just in terms of, looking ahead, if something like this should play out, right? Would the lives of people be a little bit better? I know we're always battling the whole, we need to lift or increase minimum wage. We need to do this or do that in society to make life a little bit. Would that, would it really help? Even if taxes come into play and you have to do something,
Depends on
the city. So I think it would be helpful, but I think we have to be careful as well. With regards to hoping that, people don't start to get comfortable with it and then losing that drive to actually, go out there, just, be settled with that. So, we have to be careful with that as well, but definitely for those who need it, for sure. Yeah.
So one thing that we need to remember that the longer this goes on, it's more money that's coming either from the reserves or for wherever and that needs to be replenished for the next pandemic. And so the replenishing is going to come from tax dollars.
Well, it's interesting that you're saying the next pandemic. We just got reduced from what? 50 indoors to 10
yes.
or something like that, right? And outdoors is 25.
Though, which is interesting because for me, like I live in Durham, so that doesn't change for where I live.
Right, it's regional, right?
It's only like, what is it, Toronto, Peel, and Ottawa? Where I am, which is, Pickering onward for quite a bit. That doesn't affect us at all, which kind of ties into what I was trying to say. Like the $2,000 a month, it does help, but I think that there's something important that, like Keisha was mentioning, is that if people become too reliant on it, then what's going to make them get a job after,
Right.
if you can
Yeah.
survive off of what you already have. And the
Mhm.
2000 will work based off of how expensive your city is. Like for me, living in Durham, gas is cheaper, groceries are cheaper, things are a little bit closer. So 2000 for me here, and rent is cheaper. 2000 for me here would stretch way longer than it ever would in Toronto. So
Toronto,
that still may not be good enough there. And if you can make that work, kudos to you if you can make 2000 a month in Toronto. Like, I don't know what hustle you're doing, but let me know. But if that can work out, then, you know, kudos to you. And you're not going to go work then because you don't have to.
Exactly. That's the concerning part there.
Yeah, because when you look at it, it's $500 $500 a week,
Mm-hmm.
and $24,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
right? And who can realistically live? You can live, it can happen, but what are you doing to supplement that?
Honestly, based off of the income I personally make at I can't say which telecommunications company, but a telecommunications company.
Yeah, we don't want to jeopardize our sponsorship, so don't say nothing.
Yeah, like that's pretty much what you make after taxes in a year. If you're making about 36,000 a year, under 40K, 40 and under, I would say you're probably taking home about 24, which is 2,000 a month after taxes. So it's possible to live off of it. It's not fun, but it's possible.
Exactly. Yeah, it's check to check. Yeah.
Yes. Well, at least don't forget the income tax return that bumps you up at some point after. Yeah. Anyhow. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I like I said, I like the idea that them toying with the idea. I don't know how it would play out, but it's just the disparities in our society, especially now that COVID is exposing that. You know, the spikes that we're seeing now. A lot of poor people are forced to go back into unsafe environments. You know, that's you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think individuals getting this type of money, even though you gotta pay it back or whatever the case is, they're just sitting now. Yeah, I'm just happy for it, and that's it. It's just that COVID is just backed us all in a corner right now. You know, schools, for example, they're experiencing a spot. We knew. I mean, I knew this. You put this. The environment just isn't safe, and COVID is still out there, and people have to be dealing with it.
So
all right.
Is look at what happened in other countries, and you know where we're heading if we do certain things, right? Yeah. So anyhow, you have this on the screen. Alicia Keys, $1 billion fund, Black-owned businesses.
Black-owned business. So yeah, of course, Jenai mentioned it earlier with regards to, this whole Black Lives Matter and, the kind of environment that we're in, social unrest right now, right? It's not just COVID-19. If anything, COVID-19 has us all indoors, so we can just focus on what is happening a lot more closer in our society. And of course,
outside.
The death of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, right? Shout outs, by the way, to her family. For getting that $12 million check.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know what? Yeah. I wish they had gotten more, but I'll add to that. Those police officers need to be arrested. Okay. Let's move on.
I don't know if you heard the speech by one of her family members.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that this is just a start. This is it's nice to get this money, but this is just a start based on everything else that still needs to happen. And they did mention the point that you just mentioned, KP, about the police officers being arrested. So they need to be arrested because what this was saying is that, you know what, we'll just pay you off and then everything will be okay.
Yeah, and that's not the case.
But it's not okay.
Yeah.
I think in terms of, and the only reason I'm bringing it up, of course, it's twofold. Money is involved too, and the fact that sometimes it would appear that it would be easier to get a large check, right? To
write a large check.
To write a large check, right? Rather than dealing with, look how long this thing has been going on, right? And those police officers, one was on vacation. Remember the photos that came out of that guy one of them was on vacation having fun, right? But it just appears as if, you know, the money thrown at the situation is much easier than getting these guys, man, when they know they're in the wrong.
Yeah, you looking at it, you good, man.
Alicia Keys, $1 billion fund for Black-owned businesses. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of times, I don't. How many celebrities do you guys see on the forefront doing, or you know, doing things like this or mentioning things like this? There are a few, but I don't see an overwhelming amount. All right. So
Black
this is
celebrities?
yeah, Black.
3.
I mean, maybe they don't all do it up front.
Okay.
You know, like when we think of even, you know, Chadwick, Black Panther, person who, you know, in the background was doing quite a lot of things. So they don't all disclose it. I don't know, you know, maybe this is maybe based on the amount. Maybe this is the largest. I don't know how much actually disclosed though. Some don't really like to let everyone know what they're doing, you know, to help others.
Oh, it's Alicia and the NFL.
And NFL.
Yeah, I was looking at that. That's probably why it is so public, is because the NFL
Right.
wants everyone to know, hey, by the way, like we started a $1 billion fund and we're putting a Black person on the front. So you can't say that we're doing it for no reason.
That's right.
Forgive us for that Kaepernick situation. Forgive us.
Yeah. Honestly, I just look at it as like what my generation calls a clout situation. Like you're doing it almost in a sense where it feels like just to do it so you make yourself look better, but at the same time, as a Black person, we're like, we'll take it.
Yeah.
You know, we can't have everything, so we'll take it. But as for, you know, a Black-owned people or Black celebrities that are doing stuff like that, I feel like the next person I know of that's, again, like Keisha said, they could be doing it in the background, but people I know doing it forward is probably The Weeknd, because I believe he does it in the States and in Canada, from my understanding. And it's very large. Like even the amount of money he's been donating towards his not-for-profit business for Black-owned businesses, it's a lot higher than even people like, no shade, Drake, who make more money than him and do have the resources
from Canada.
So I don't know why it's not being televised. And I do get that sometimes people don't really want, you know, society to feel like they're just doing something for the sake of doing it, and it's not heartfelt. But at this point in time, I feel like you kind of have to put that to the side and make sure everyone knows, because if people don't know, they're going to assume that you're not doing something. It's better that they know it so they can't say you're not doing it.
I like this part here. It says our goal is to empower Black America through investing in Black businesses. You know, I like that emphasis there. Can you guys hear me still?
Yes. Yeah.
And what through
in the white NFL owners?
In a way that creates sustainable solutions. That's good. All right. I like. All right. Well, shout outs to Alicia and NFL too. for investing in the Black community, man. I like this. I love the fact that, like I said, you know, a lot of people may criticize BLM and for what they are, for some of the things the organization may be a part of or doing, and they don't agree with it. But I like the fact that you see a lot of things now coming to the forefront as a result of what they're doing and how they're pushing, you know, injustice in society in general, but you know, specifically in Black and brown communities in the forefront, and say, hey, we need to deal with it. I like it.
All right.
So happy you like it, but you know what I'd like?
What?
I'd like to hear from our guests.
Yeah. Pivoting, transitioning. Yeah. Miss Jenai, talk to us. Like I said, the last time you were your stepdad was here, and he was talking to us about life insurance, and you have an experience that you would like to share with us, man, to, you know, drive home a little bit more how important something like that is.
Yes. So I personally, I guess you can say, I guess it sounds a little odd to say benefited, but I've benefited in some way, shape, or form from life insurance. And I mean, I think I was just like everybody else, where you don't have life insurance, you probably don't really think about getting it, or you think, oh, I'll get it later on in the future. And again, I'm about to be 27, so a lot of 27-year-olds don't actually have life insurance. It's not a normal topic of discussion at my age, unfortunately, but it should be. And for me, I personally had my experience at the age of 25 dealing with life insurance, which is crazy to even say that I even had to go through that. But for me, my mom passed away when I was 25. She was 44 at the time.
Oh man.
Who was engaged or with my stepdad, Roy. So we both me and Roy both had an experience, I guess you could say, with life insurance, because for him, it was one of the first people he sold life insurance to, which was his partner, which was also one of the first people he had to close out their life insurance plans for, which was a lot for him. And for me, it was a very big learning experience because I'm not in the insurance field.
Right.
But I've learned so much. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
So my mom was 44. She passed away very, very randomly. And it actually took me a very long time to even get her into the country. She was just visiting another country, passed away there. And for the very first time, she never had travel insurance. So because of that, I couldn't just get her here.
So she was on vacation when this happened?
Yeah, she was on vacation, got sick for a week, passed away randomly in her bed.
Wow.
It was just...
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Even to this day, like, we don't know how, why. It was just an inconclusive. And that's something I feel like people need to understand, is that anyone can pass away from any other any reason. It's unconclusive how she passed away. My mom was extremely healthy, 44 years old. Me and my mom only have 19 years between us. So anything can really happen. And unfortunately, because the one time she never got travel insurance, it cost $27,000 Canadian just to fly her here.
Wow.
And it took 2 months. Whereas if she had travel insurance, I could have got her back in like a week and paid nothing. So that was my first incident with insurance, was just that travel insurance. And I was like, I will never travel again without getting travel insurance.
Okay, I was gonna tell you to drill down on that a little bit, but you're doing that.
That was my first experience with it. So from there, obviously, then I get her back here. And thankfully, again, the one thing my mom is, she's extremely organized. So she always made sure she paid her life insurance up to date. And I took that as a learning opportunity for myself, because I actually relied a lot on her financially at the time. So it was like, you're grieving, but then you also have a bunch of other things to do when someone passes away. There's funeral costs. Yeah, where am I getting $27,000 to fly somebody back here for? All that stuff comes into play. So luckily, with having that amount of money set aside, I was able to pay for all of those things and get myself out of any financial strain that I personally had, because I was her only beneficiary. I don't have any siblings. And take the rest of it, and I invested into various different types of accounts, GICs, tax-free savings account, RSP, or home buyer's plan, whichever you fancy. Just investing my money into that stuff and figuring out what I want to do. And from there, I can take that, and I kind of look at her life insurance as, and it may off people, but like a blessing. A gift of some sort. It's like a second chance at life, because I was in a bad situation and I'm not now, not even remotely.
Yeah.
And I was in such a bad mental and financial situation, because before that I had been in a car accident that really affected my life. So it really has been a second chance at life. And I think that when people think of life insurance, they're not really thinking of it in the sense of really the people that are left behind. They think of it more as, oh, it's just going to be money for my funeral, so I don't need to get a very large plan or policy. But you don't need $1 million, for instance, but you need something in place, because you never know what that person's going to experience. What if they can't work? Like, it's too much on them. They can't go to work. They need time. They need to go on a vacation. They need to pay off your mortgage. You don't have mortgage insurance. You don't have an extra term insurance. Like, how are they planning on doing any of that if you didn't do the bare minimum, is what I look at it as.
And I like the point that you brought out there with regards to, some of us, she was 44, and you kind of think sometimes that nothing's going to happen. People do think that, you
You're
know.
invincible. Yeah.
And this was a situation where she didn't have a terminal illness or anything like that. Anything can happen at any time. We cannot plan for it, right? So it is so important, you know, to put something like that in place. It really definitely brings it to light. Yes.
And I think that was a big thing is you get around a bunch of people that know her. Obviously, you're at a funeral, everyone talks about it, and they're like, yeah, you know, I really need to get life insurance, I really got to do it. And then it slips, it's not a priority anymore because it wasn't you. Because it wasn't you, it wasn't directly maybe that internal the way it would be so internal for me. It becomes a back burner, it becomes a second afterthought. And it's almost like shaking someone that's my mom age at this point, like, you need to get life insurance. Like, I have life insurance as a 27-year-old. I hopefully I don't go anytime soon, but I want something set aside for, and I don't have any kids, but I still want something set aside for the people that are left over right now, because you don't know what they're going through. And the stress of thinking about GoFundMe's and how someone's going to come up with the money for you. Honestly, it's a little selfish in a sense. Like, you can do something about it, so why wouldn't you do something about it? And again, you don't need to get a $1 million, $500,000 policy. It can be $100,000, $50,000, $200,000. At this point in time, there's even a specific insurance company that can't even decline you. Just get something, and the sooner you get it, the cheaper it is. The longer you wait, the more expensive it is. And now you really have an excuse because you probably can't afford it.
No, in addition to the to your mom, and again, my condolences on everything that happened. Your mom having life insurance. Did she have a will as well?
No, and I'm so glad that you asked that. I'm so glad that you asked that. She did not have a will. Luckily, everything worked out in my case again because I don't have no siblings.
Right.
So I didn't have to fight nobody on nothing. It was good. But I have a will though. So you guys actually go to, for anyone that's watching, if you go to lawdepot.ca, you can actually pay, I think it's $27 for 10 years. And you can do all kinds of different law documents on there, but 10 years for specifically for the will. It's literally just a plug and play. You just type in your name and all that other information, and it formats a whole will for you that you can print off, get it signed by 2 people, signed by a commissioner. You can keep a copy, give one to your life insurance company. And for that whole 10 years, you can go and revise it as many times as you want. So I just did something like that just because, again, right now I don't have any kids, but I could. And based on the fact that, like, I'm not married right now, I'm in a common law situation, I wanted to make sure that there was no battles or no issues. If anything were to happen, it's blank stamp in your face.
So KP's good. He likes to populate the chat, so you might want to give that website.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to pull up here. Well, go ahead. You guys keep talking.
So he's good. Yeah.
It's a great site though. It really helps you. And again, you can just repay every 10 years again. And I mean, 10 years to consistently keep, updating your will is great. And I kind of just made my will. I'm an over planner. So bullshit right now. I'm extremely detailed. I'm extremely organized. I need
Is this what it looks like?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Okay.
So if you ever go to that website, you can find all kinds of different, you can pay for all kinds of different things, but I specifically did my will from them. But in my will, because, sometimes you forget to update it. You forget to go back to it. Life happens. So I made it as detailed as I possibly could. And it was like, first case scenarios, in case this person isn't alive, this case scenario. Or I gave 3 different scenarios. So that way, no matter what happens, it's covered. Because again, I think now that I've gone through like a traumatic, very random death, it's always kind of on my mind. So I'm like, what if I do have a kid? And then there's a girl that I used to watch on YouTube and she passed away while giving birth. I'm like, what if that could be my future? I don't know. That could be something that happens to me. So even in my will, I said, if I have kids, this is what it is. If I don't, follow below.
Yeah.
So I just have it set up that way so that no matter what happens, it should be okay. Like everything should fall into place regardless.
Did the will come about as a result of what happened to your mother, or you had that set up already?
No, it was after my mother's situation.
Okay.
I didn't have a will. I didn't have life insurance. And funny enough, I had life insurance in 2015. It's $45. Just guess what my life insurance is now.
Let me guess. More than that?
I pay $191 right now for life insurance a month.
Wow.
But I'm gonna continue to spend that money.
No. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that. No, what happened? Did you make it lapse, or was it a term that from the $45, or did you cancel it, or what happened?
So in that time, I did cancel it because I was fairly young. Like, again, I'm only 27 now. So imagine at 2015, I was in my early 20s. I'm like, I don't have an extra $50 to be giving you right now. I'm in school, I'm barely working. Like, I don't have the money. Like, sorry. And it was really on me because when I canceled it, my mom looked at me and she was like, are you stupid? I would have paid it for you until you get to that point, because it would have been $50 for the rest of your life.
Right.
But now it's not going to be.
Yeah.
So now, based off of, again, it also depends on the type of policy I have, like the amount of money included in my policy will also change the pricing of it. So now that I am older, I do have to have a little bit more money set aside for my personal things that people may need to pay out in case that's the scenario. So that had something to do with it. And then just age. Like, you'd be surprised if you actually sit down with someone that sells life insurance and they just type in one age to the next. How drastic that number changes is crazy. If you could do any of your kids a favor, I swear to it by now, I'm telling y'all, you can do any of your children a favor. Get life insurance for them, ASAP. It'll be like $20 a month, maybe. And there's life insurance options that I know of where you can actually double it up. Like, I didn't double mine up because we don't got $400 a month. So you can actually double it up for maybe like a certain amount of years. So imagine if it's like $20 a month, you maybe get like your child tax benefits, like $40 a month for 10, 15 years. At least by the time your kid is like 15, 16 years old, you've paid out their $400,000 policy already for them. So no matter what happens, they never have to financially pay for that themselves. Now I've learned about things like that to know what to do for the future when I have a child, because I don't even want that to be something they have to worry about.
Right.
Like, working smarter, not harder.
Right.
I mean, so in terms of the when you mentioned what happened with your mom and the 27,000 and all that sort of stuff, right? How did you deal with that huge bill? Because you said she didn't have travel insurance, is that correct?
Yeah, she did not have travel insurance. So that's the result of not having travel insurance. TM for anyone watching again.
Right.
What travel insurance? But that was not a fun bill. It was not a fun bill. And because, again, my mom, aside from, this was actually aside from her life insurance, she actually had investments herself.
Right.
So luckily, thankfully, one of the companies was willing to allow us to take money out of there, even though she wasn't back here.
Right.
They were able to take even just her death certificate from another country and say, okay, fine. And they gave us that money to pay it out. And then we were able to fly her back, because we were not going to get her unless we paid that money. And thankfully, again, because she was an over planner as well, she had something additionally to her having life insurance. So all that money that she had in investments, I was able to actually use that towards that bill.
Right.
And then a good portion pretty much towards like the rest of her funeral, because as well too, it takes a while sometimes for these companies to settle your account. And because my mom's thing came back inconclusive, it took me extra long to settle her life insurance. Usually it's about 2 weeks. When someone passes away, it takes maybe like a week, 2 weeks to get all your money. This was 2+ months. And even after my mom's funeral, I don't think I even got anything from a few months after, because again, it was inconclusive. And they were like, this doesn't make sense. She's a really healthy person. My mom's extremely active, very fit. Now, Like, how does this randomly just happen? And even to this day, I don't know.
In terms of, I'm guess, you know, you would have been set back financially if some of these things were not in place, even though, you know, you had to deal with the lack of travel insurance situation there. So she had some things. Are you able to touch base a little bit on, you know, how this helps in the whole process of wealth building, you know, in the Black community, some of the things that you've touched on, you know, we've taken it for granted, you know, whether or not somebody's doing it for us, or, you know, we just, like you said, we just cancel things, can't bother with it, that type of thing. But we're trying to set up ourselves financially. We're trying to prepare ourselves for whatever it is that we will have to do later on in life. And when we have children or whatever the case is, you know, how does something like this helps us?
I would say,
that way?
Definitely. I don't like when people use this term because I don't feel like it's a curse, but breaking generational curse.
Yeah.
Pretty much in that sense, where it's like, I'm not in the same financial position. I took what my mom left me with after all the bills, after her, you know, bills for all that stuff, paying off any debt that I had. Like, that's where it started for me, building my generational wealth. I don't owe OSAP anything. I don't owe anyone anything realistically, right? That I can't pay for on my own. I'm not in debt is pretty much what I'm trying to say. I'm no longer in debt.
Right.
Take that money and I invested it. Shout out again to my stepdad, because he does a lot of stuff aside from just selling life insurance. I invested my money into a GIC account. I invested my money into a tax-free savings account. If you're 18 years old and don't have a tax-free savings account, you're doing yourself a disservice. I set up a retirement savings plan. I set up my home buyer's plan on top of my retirement savings plan. So when it is time for me to buy a house, I can take that money out and use it towards there. That money builds interest. Having a mixed portfolio builds interest. So now you're making money off of money you weren't going to touch anyways. And when you have that money, you can't leave that in a regular bank account. A regular bank only insures $100,000. So what are you doing with a $400,000, $600,000 policy in your account now? Because if anything happens to the bank, you don't get that money back. So you need to invest that money. You need to secure it in any way, shape, or form that you can. And why not make money?
Right. Leverage.
Like, why would I want to keep it when it can make more money? Now, COVID tried me with my mixed portfolio. This was not cute to me this year at all, but we made it back. We're getting there. It's fine.
Listen,
little by little.
You only lose if you withdraw it when it's down.
Exactly, which is why you don't do that. You leave it and you wait for it to go back, which is exactly what happened. Right. You gotta ride it out, right out the way, because when you have that money invested, you weren't supposed to use it anyway. You can't be upset about something that you wasn't supposed to use anyways. And that's when getting knowledgeable about that, the types of accounts you have makes sense, because if you don't mind me getting a little technical here, having a tax-free savings account, you can have a mutual fund tax-free savings account or a segregated fund tax-free savings account. Those are two different worlds. And you want to be in segregated life, because if your mutual fund goes down and it tanks, you don't get nothing back. But if your segregated fund tanks, you get at least 70% of what you invested back.
Isn't that what they're marching against? Segregation.
What's the matter with you?
Sorry,
we're talking money.
Between the two funds, though, you're playing with fire.
I know.
With fire with one of them, so it's like make sure that your tax-free savings account is a segregated fund. So if, like you said, like with COVID, you got to write it out. But if the market crashes and you have your money in a mutual fund, you're not getting it back.
Well,
the government's not going to cut you a check for it.
Well, you won't get it back if you cash in your whatever the funds that you are. But if you write it out, and you pray and hope that the market comes back.
Pray and hope.
It's based on unit pricing. The funds as well. Right?
So if that share goes down in price, it no longer is going to benefit you. But you could be in a situation where, you could be a situation where it dwindles down. So I have most of my stuff in a segregated account because it benefits me more. I don't really want to be in a situation where everyone has different risk factors.
Right.
I'm not in that risk factor.
Mm-hmm.
I realize that it's not for me. So
Yeah.
I made sure that my stuff is in a segregated fund. So no matter what happens, 70% of that money at least will come back to me if the market crashes completely. The market crashes completely in general with all your money, you're in bad situation. And it was really sad with COVID because there was a lot of like older women that had like their retirement savings plan was a mutual fund. It wasn't a segregated fund. And their whatever they were specifically invested in with their portfolio crashed. They lost like a lot of money that they're probably not gonna get back, and they're retiring next year or the next 2 years.
Yeah,
and
but
now it's like
the thing with that is that if you had the money like that, it's not that you're planning on taking all of it out at the same time when you retire.
yeah,
So over time, the what I've noticed with, because I remember a few years ago, having worked in the industry, the market fund, the mutual funds did take a beating, but then over time it came back. The hope is that they live long enough for it to recover,
Come back, yeah.
for it to come back.
Mm-hmm.
That is the hope. Well, there was a question that, you said the generational curse, and you didn't want to use that word. I think the word that we could use is generational mindset.
yeah,
The mindset or the thinking. And so that's what Dollars and Cents is all about, trying to help our folks to change their mindset as
Breaking bad cycles,
they look at money and look at investing and look at opportunities. And that's what we try to do. And especially about, as we're looking today, we're looking at, and I think Jenai started off by saying some people have these thoughts about insurance and life insurance and so on. And some people say, I don't need it, and it's just a ripoff and so on. But here we have someone who has benefited from this and show that it is absolutely necessary. And so, this is one of many stories that are out there. And so I think that what my takeaway from this is that for Black folks is that, we need to, to secure, think of those who are after us, those we're leaving behind, and what kind of life we want them to live. Because I've heard people say, it's not my problem. After I'm dead, it's not my problem. It's for
It's so selfish to think that way. It's so selfish.
And I've had clients too, who have purchased property, through life insurance. It can be a difference between leaving your family in poverty or not, right? And we have to really get beyond the money. It's not just all about the money. It's about, while your family is grieving, something to alleviate that a bit, because now you're thinking, let's just say your husband or your mother, someone doesn't, let's say in a situation where it's husband and wife, right, doesn't have life insurance. You're left now with a mortgage of one income, stuff like that. These are things that, and children on top of it. So these are things that we really seriously have to think about. It's not just about the money, right? Yeah.
And so often we look at it as if it's all about the money, or that's what the mindset is, and that's what they think about. It's just about the money. But if we look at it of investing for our family's future,
right?
I think that's where it has to be looked at. Investing for families.
It should be looked at almost in the sense of, it might sound weird, but like a lifestyle. Like, what lifestyle do you want to leave that person with behind you? Like, do you want everyone to be renting? Because just kind of like what Keisha said, that's mainly what my goal was. Like, I invested my money, yes, to make more money off of it, because why not? But my main goal is to be able to take that out and invest it into a property. If I can put half the amount of money that I maybe need onto my property, now I can have a much lower mortgage. Now I can actually have a house. It's very hard to have a house right now. Get approved for a house right now. That's not a lifestyle for us. So, having that ability is something that I feel like, again, it puts me in a different bracket now where a lot of people my age aren't in. I can sit there and probably be like, I can probably put half down on the $600,000 house.
What you saying?
7-year-olds can't do that.
Yeah.
That
baller.
Not saying that's my exact situation. I'm just saying
shot caller.
That it could be your family situation. They could be left with, like, you could leave them with $500,000. They use $200,000 for whatever they need to use.
Yeah.
And that could be their reality. They have $300,000 to put on a $600,000 property. You'll have that person buy a new build home, first phase one. They're laughing. They're absolutely laughing now. So it's like you can build that lifestyle for someone or help them to build that lifestyle for themselves as long as they're smart with their income. And that's really all I want people to really take from it is like, it's not just about your funeral. It's not just, you can't just make a GoFundMe and then bury that person or cremate them or whatever, and then everything be fine. You have mortgages to pay for it. That person doesn't have mortgage insurance. That really sucks. You don't have term insurance. That sucks. You don't have life insurance. Now you're in a completely different world that I'm not even in.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Would have been in my world.
Jenai, dropping knowledge and opportunity.
Yeah, man. That's I have a lot more questions to ask, but you know, we've reached that time where we gotta end here. But listen, we really appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
And you know, for sharing not just this information, but also from such a personal perspective.
Thanks for being vulnerable.
Yes, 100%.
I think it's something people really do need to hear, a more real story for it to actually be real to them.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we're gonna sign off, folks. Thanks once again to Miss e-NiaJenai for being on here with us and for enlightening us and helping us to understand this thing a little bit better. All right, shout outs to your stepdad Roy as well for not only being on, for also you know, telling us about you and setting this thing up.
Awesome.
Thanks all for watching, man. And you know, this is Dollars and Cents, right, Wayne? Right, Keisha?
Yeah, bringing knowledge and opportunity to those in the community. Yes, that's what it's about.
Making sense of your dollars.
There we go. There we go. All right, everybody. Catch you later.
Everyone. Thank
Peace
you.
out. Let me just sign this thing out.